All right there, ladies and gentlemen. So today we have a special review, and that is in here. I have obviously done an unboxing of this. I haven't done a video of the unboxing, but I have unboxed this watch already. I've had this for about right around 7 months. And I picked it up at a boutique in the Sanford Mall. I had no intentions. I actually didn't go out looking for a watch that day, but I stopped by the boutique because my wife needed to go for a Pandora bracelet she had to possibly get it cleaned. And when we went in there, they were in fact a Pandora dealer, so they were able to clean it for her and also warranty out one of her links. In the process, I actually ended up spotting this watch here, and yeah, stay tuned for this one. All right, so yeah, this here is the Seiko SRP773. I think I pronounced that right. Yeah, the SRP773. This is the blue dial variant. It is the blue dial variant. In my opinion, I think one of the most iconic ones that they have in terms of the color scheme. There is a black one. Some people prefer it. I prefer the blue. I think it looks a little more true to that Captain Willer turtle that a lot of people, or that's highly sought after. So yeah, we'll go ahead and turn the camera around and give you a heads-on view of this watch. And yeah, let's go ahead and turn the camera around. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. The Seiko SRP. This is the SRP773. This is the blue colorway. I don't know if this has my serial number. Oh, the hell with it. I'll still show it to you anyways. This is the original box from Seiko. So, oops, that's backwards. So as you can see here, the retail price on this, according to this, is $525. I believe when I went into the boutique, and they were trying to sell it to me at that I think it was at $500, and I wasn't having it. I had already found it online for about $300, and I was already in the boutique, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to see if I can talk them down on the price. We kind of haggled for a bit until eventually she was like, I was going to buy a bracelet for my wife already, but she didn't know that, of course. Anyways, she was like, if you get that bracelet your wife has been looking at, then I'll give it to you at the price that you found it for online. Oh, perfect. So, you know, we ended up making a deal on it. But yeah, here you have it. It originally came on this bracelet. I, of course, have bought bands for it since. And I think I bought the... anyways, I'll put it in the description. I'll put the link in the description below. But yeah, let's go ahead and take it off of this pillow. So yeah, here you have it. This is the supplied bracelet it comes on. You know, I gotta say, it is a good bracelet overall. You got solid end links. Unfortunately, it's not a milled clasp, but it is a good one nonetheless. It's a press clasp. And I can tell you just from that alone, without putting this little clip over it, it holds on pretty well. So, very nice clasp. See if I can get this to focus here. Kind of show you a little bit of the finish. Has the scuff marks again because I've had this for over 7 months. I haven't worn it as much, to be quite frank with you, just because, again, it's one of the more expensive pieces that I own, and I just tried to avoid putting some wear and tear on it, even though I got a little scuff right there. But yeah, nice watch overall. Let's go ahead and jump into the specs. All right, so we'll move on to the movements on this timepiece. We're looking at a caliber 4R36 with a power reserve of 41 hours. You have an accuracy rating of minus 35 seconds plus 45 seconds per day with the diameter on this case of 44.3 millimeters. You do have a lug width of 22 millimeters. So not too hard to find straps for this timepiece. Frequency is rated at 21,600 beats per hour. and this movement, of course, has a 24 joules, or this watch has a 24 joules movement. The thickness on this watch, from top to the back, or from the top here of the bezel all the way to the back, you're looking at a 14 millimeter thickness. Not too bad, you know, all things considered, the size of this watch. You have 120 click unidirectional bezel. And of course that iconic Seiko, bezel action. I mean, just take a listen to this. Oh, that is super satisfying. Anyways, moving on here. So yeah, you do have a screw down crown. When pulled out all the way to the third setting, it gives you the ability to hack, basically allowing you for precise time setting. So overall, amazing value for money with this watch. As you all know, Seiko has done some revision. Seiko has done some revision to their overall branding, and now the I believe the Prospex. You have the Prospex, which is what this is, and then you have the one up from this one, which is the I can't remember off the top of my head, but nonetheless, the Prospex is going into that mid-range Seiko watch, you know, in terms of pricing. So I wouldn't be surprised as when they launch the the next generation of this watch, you're going to be looking at anywhere between $700 to $900 in terms of price range. So overall, a great watch. I managed to pick this up at about $300 after some haggling with the boutique that I went to when I picked this up. So yeah, we'll move on to my take on this watch and overall what I think about it, and is it worth the money? All right, so now we've covered the specs on this watch. Let's cover my take on this watch. I think this is overall a well-constructed timepiece by Seiko. In terms of the value that's offered at the sub $1,000 price range, I think is an amazing buy. I highly recommend this watch. In terms of the finish on this case, the construction of this case, the quality of this bracelet, there's really not much left here to desire. I think Seiko kind of hit every single point that I kind of have set when it comes to a diver. I think this is the perfect diver in my opinion. The movement on this, amazing movement. The loom on this watch is it's unparalleled to any other brand. The quality of this bezel, for those of you who utilize the bezel for their true functions, I think this is a great bezel. It's not easy to knock this bezel, out of timing. I think they did a really good job with how much resistance is applied to this bezel. I think overall I would highly recommend this watch. Seiko being one of those brands that have been in the game for so long. I think you can't go wrong. Even if you did pay for this watch, its full retail price of $525. I think that there is nothing else in that price range that's going to be as good as this, in terms of the kind of watch that this is, right? Because if you're looking for a field watch or even a more dressier watch, then you're probably going to want to look into something like the Hamiltons. They have a great lineup of watches for those two categories, and I think that they're going to offer more value for your money in that price range. But aside from that, I think again as a diver, this is probably the best diver in the sub $1,000 range. Highly recommend this watch. I think Seiko really knocked it out of the park with this one. Now I'll cover a couple of things that I dislike about this watch. I think that this watch, Seiko could have done a better job in terms of the design of the case. I'm not a big fan of these polished center links, and not that polished center links, but the way they did it is more like a pinstripe line on each side of the center link that's polished. I just don't like it, to be honest with you. I find myself using this watch more on a strap than I do on this bracelet. As far as everything else, man, I think there's really not much else. The bezel was another thing I think Seiko could have done a better in that price range. I think Seiko could have squeezed in a ceramic bezel. I think a ceramic bezel would have really put this over the top. The Harlex crystal on this is sufficient for me. I don't think Seiko had to add a sapphire on there because, to be honest with you, the trade-offs, in my opinion, are worth it. I would rather keep the Harlex than have that sapphire crystal, which they're gonna have to add some kind of anti-reflective to it. And that, if it's not applied under the glass, I'd rather it not applied at all, because over time it gets very ugly. But yeah, other than that, man, I highly recommend this watch. I think it wears very, very nice. And I'll get some close up on the wrist here in just a bit, but just the feel of this watch on the wrist is amazing. I think Seiko really, really outdid themselves. I'm happy with this buy. Again, I've had this for about 6 months now. Seiko really became one of my favorite brands after I purchased this watch. I had previously owned actually I didn't own a Seiko. This was the first Seiko that I bought, and then after that I bought the I can't remember the model of that one, but their field watch, which is a 37 millimeter, a little bit small for my wrist, so I don't wear it that often. But when I do, it's because I'm in that mood of a field watch. Anyways, I think Seiko really, really did a great job with this, and I can't stress that enough. I highly recommend this. I think there's a couple of watch brands out there, off brands, that you can probably go and spend $500 on. And you may get a Swiss movement in it, but to be honest with you, Seiko is one of those companies, man, that I think everybody needs to watch out for, because a lot is to come from Seiko in the upcoming years. Now with this, what they've done now with their brand and how they've rebranded everything and restructured their entry level watches, their mid tier watches, and their higher end watches. You have Presage being one of their higher end watches, and then you have the Grand Seiko being the top of the line. Not to go on a rant about that, because the Time Teller did a video explaining that in detail, and why that affects his liking of the brand. But nonetheless, I think for me, in terms of Seiko, I'm a big fan. Highly, highly like them. Another thing too that I didn't cover on this watch, and I'll backtrack here to cover this, because I think, again, at this price range, you don't usually see this, is drilled. You get drilled lugs. So here, let me take this off the wrist. So I think this is something that you don't usually see in this price range, and that is the drilled lugs for your spring bars. Very easy to remove without having to scratch up your case, and I think that's a nice touch from Seiko. And I think a lot of companies should start doing that, because I don't see that costing them more money to include that, and I think that just makes it a lot easier for the user overall to switch out the bands as needed. Another thing I really do like about this watch is the back. The screwed on back on this has a really, really nice design on the back. You get your serial number on the back. It just really feels like a $1,000 plus watch. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if I did not know much about this watch and it was priced at $1,000 and I put this on my wrist, I think if I had the $1,000 to put out on it, I would. I think it's worth it. I think you get an amazing timepiece for the price. And I highly recommend this. All right. So there we've covered the Seiko I guess you can call it SRP773, the Turtle, whatever you want to call it. We'll just refer to it by its serial number or by its model number, SRP773. I think this is a phenomenal watch. Once again, I highly recommend going out and get this while you can. Prices will skyrocket. I don't see why they wouldn't, especially after what Seiko did with the rebranding of everything or restructuring the brand and their lineup of watches. Overall, again, phenomenal watch. Highly recommend it. Don't forget to follow. I'll put a link where you can purchase this watch. I'll also put a link to the straps that I normally put on my watches. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, smash that like button, and follow me over on Instagram, WatchLife777. Once again, that's WatchLife777. Follow me on Instagram. Till the next one.